Alright, we are live.
Okay,
Sorry for the technical difficulties, folks.
I'll call to order our PROST meeting for July 15, 2026, and we'll begin with a roll call. John Evans,
Landon Wheeler,
Jesse Roper, Sarah Brown, Rebecca Bailey.
Kendra Barrett,
Laura Bockelman.
Billy Cooksey.
Eric Angel.
and absent we have Joe Burke. Do we have anybody online for public?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to the approval of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read through their June 10th, 2026 meeting minutes?
Yes.
Any changes? Edits? Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from June 10th, 2026.
I'll motion to approve our June 10th meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Move on to action items. Budget discussion.
Well, this goes along with last night when Eric presented the final version of the master plan to the board for adoption, and it was unanimously approved. So we officially, after a year and two months worth of work, give or take, have an adopted master plan, something that was on the strategic plan for us to get done as a town, and it wouldn't have been, even close to being able to be accomplished without all of you guys. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. Kind of started off with John taking a big swing at our budget almost 2 years ago,
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the 2024 budget presentation for the 2025 budget. John came in and talked about the importance of it and how it aligned with both PROST and the town of Wellington's goals, and now here we are. We have an official master plan and an updated master plan. First one since 2015. So with that, we can kind of look at Parks and Rec budget and finance and the town's finance a little bit more future forward thinking, and we have actually some really good goals to be driven off of now. I think if I can put you on the spot real quick, Madam Mayor said something last night that I think a lot of this group has echoed, but also makes it verifies it with a lot of us and also codifies it, that we all knew kind of what would be in the plan, but we let the people speak, and it definitely drove home what you all have put down on paper and we've talked about for the last 4 years since I've been here, that you guys have a great vision for what the people are saying in the community. But without the document and without going out and having 60,000 touch points and face-to-face conversations and all that, it's kind of still a, well, we think so type thing. But now it's a, we know so, and thank you for telling us that you know so as well. And it's more of a want thing, and now it's like, this is what the town needs. Like it really just gives value to what the group has done, and what actually it shows that how much you guys all know and care about what the town needs. So having said all that, I wanted to really just talk today, or more just like throw it out there. What do you guys want to know about what our finance is like, and what our budgeting process is like? And there's a couple new members on the board that haven't gone through a full budgeting process. So I just want to kind of, what would you guys want to know? Because we are right now in the town in the thick of the start, but which is a very good portion of our budgeting process. We have to have our CIP and operations budgets to finance just the first round of them, so that it can be reviewed by them and town administration by the 7th of next month. We know that we don't have a very flushed out CIP budget. We're waiting for master plan to come through, and part of the implementation phase is building that 5 to 10 year CIP. So I've been, and Jason and Barry Dunn knows that. So I guess my goal, even though it's part of their, part of their contract, and one of the deliverables is to bring that CIP. This group knows so much, so I think our best estimation of what a 5 to 10 year CIP would be a very good like building block for what Barry Dunn could then say, yes, let us also help you look at the finances. Let us also help you, tag what projects you guys want and where we can put grants to those. And then also maybe say like, that's maybe a little too ambitious. That's their job. I think our group's job is to say like, this is what we would love to see. We know that trails were an extreme priority, right? We know that a potential community center is something that the community wants, and there'll be a lot of steps there. Like, what are the other projects, right? Like, I have a million in my mind, but I'd love this group to think about it. We don't have to flesh all that out tonight, but just kind of maybe thinking about that stuff. I'd love your guys' input on what you think is the highest priority based on, what that master plan has said that we've all read. But then let me wrap it back and just say that after all that, what do you guys want to know about our process? About, where Parks and Rec finance is at, and in general, our budget process.
I think it's important to know that the budget isn't just like one little piece. It's drawn out a long period because it's such an important deal to make sure that the money is being spent towards what people in the town want. And maybe Bill, you could just kind of give us a rundown of like where it starts and where the final approval goes.
Yeah.
And all the processes in between. That way, so maybe not all of us know.
Yeah, and if we're gonna do that, if it's okay with everybody, we might bounce around a little bit what I threw in the packet. It's a lot of this, actually almost all of this, just came from the it's published. It's the 2026 budget book, but it gives a good idea. And then there's some snippets for some other stuff that, where we're at right now as far as our finance goes. And I know this got to you a little bit late, so I don't expect everybody to have read through all this and understood all this, but I can answer that question. Do you want to go to here? Let me find the page real quick in the packet. This allows me to.
It's down here.
Yeah, it's after all the stuff I put in from the budget book. And again, like I said, it's probably a good idea to read through a lot of this if you want, because it shows, it pulls out all the stuff that's really important in our budgeting. Not just the process, but what the Parks and Rec budget means that fits into the town's overall budget. So as far as our budget process goes, this is a snippet from the finance page that we have internally, but it is published. So May 15th in the bottom right, these are all of our budget dates. On May 15th, leadership and the board of trustees went to, where was that picture? That was at Lita, right? Wasn't at Lita. Anyways, it was still in Johnstown. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did onboarding for the new board of trustees, and we also did, they did one day of onboarding, and then leadership joined for strategic planning moving forward. And that was kind of the kickoff of understanding the group as a whole, and as how we work together, and kind of started a lot of large scale project, like townwide project goals and ambitions. And one of the large specific projects that came up was the community center.
Yeah.
And it was very much pushed forward by the trustees to give directive to say, like, when, even though the master plan isn't finalized yet, we would love, because we've seen what the community says, and this is a goal of the town, to move forward with the idea of what it's going to take. What it's going to take to get us a potential, and we'll still keep saying a potential community center, to put time and effort as staff into that idea for the community. And then June 16th, Board of Trustees at a work session on their overall priorities. July 6th, kickoff by finance. That's more behind the doors, like them getting all the paperwork and sheets and everything that's above this in the packet ready for us individually as leadership and department directors to basically get our CIP and which is capital improvement projects. And operations budgets ready for the August 7th due to finance. Now that's just the first round. And like I alluded to earlier, on August 7th or before, we will turn those into finance. They will be talked about with the finance department to go over numbers to see what is actually feasible. And then they will talk with town administration to see where we're at as a total. Because at that point, it'll probably be a couple weeks after that, but at that point, we'll get finance numbers in for a little over half of the year, which gives a snapshot of where we're at with the overall town revenue and expenditures and where we land as a park budget within that. So at which point we'll, on August 24th, 27th, we already have set up. Actually, let me back up one. During that process too, before that, we will also have an interdepartmental meeting with human resources. And human resources and each department will talk about specifically staffing and how that fits in. So it's not, it is our job as leadership to put staffing priorities in our budget because it's our department and it's, you know, the money that we're in charge of taking or take charge of. But we don't always have all of the information for that because of what goes into staffing isn't just the cost of what we pay for staff. It's all of the benefits and all the things. And as a total, we kind of have control of that, but HR kind of brings that package in front of us. So then we'll sit down with HR and that shows kind of where we're at. And then after we sit with HR, if there would be an opportunity to have another employee or, you know, specifically, if there's any movement within our department up, you know, for people that have shown that they go to a next level, if there's levels, just all that kind of stuff. So that factors into it. And then we'll go into the department budget review meeting so that each department head sits down with, usually it's just the director of finance, town administration, their direct supervisor if they're not town administrator, and then just the director. And we sit down and just talk through. So at that point, it's my job to say like, hey, this is why we're cutting from this line. This is where we're adding to this line because this happened this year, this happened last year. You know, all the different variations in our operations budget and our capital budget. I won't, and we'll get back to this in a minute, but I'll just say this here. I don't know. I would love you guys to look at our operations budget, but it's so fluctuating compared to a capital budget. We're on a day-to-day basis or a year-to-year basis. It's like, well, Eric really is like very on top of our operations budget and where we need to, you know, potentially add lines or split lines where we're like, hey, it's hard for us to categorize this year because, you know, the splash pad is getting older and we're putting more effort and time and money into it. And we kind of always put that under, this is just an example, under well and well houses because it is a pump house. And it took, you know, a little bit of maintenance and we did some upgrades, but now there's just certain things that are, you know, after so many years are getting, we call them ghosts in them. So it's like replacing valves and replacing Y strainers and all that. And it's like, you know, a couple $100 every year isn't that much, but when we're starting to add up, it's like, should we really have that as its own line and maybe split the amount that we're paying, right? Like, well houses is $10,000 a year, and that covers all of the wells that we take care of for pumping irrigation across all the parks that we have them at. But then maybe it's like, okay, maybe we do $8,000 in that line because we have that many wells, and then $2,000 so we can track it. So on a day-to-day basis, that's kind of where Eric is really instrumental. No one want you guys necessarily to have to get in the weeds with that. Totally up to you guys. But a lot of that fluctuates every single year. Like some years we went couple years ago, we went way over on our water budget, but then we got Smart Rain. And we implemented Smart Rain and really changed and flipped our water profile in the park Centennial and Park Meadows that had domestic water. And as water rates rose, we did some smart things to change that. And we budgeted almost the same the following year because we just didn't know. And we saved like $20,000 in total water costs just because we had a smarter way to manage our water. So those are the things where it's like, okay, that looks good, but we don't know. Or like, do we know right now exactly what Excel is going to do for power next year? No, so we'll just give a little. We might go over in that budget. We might not. We might have more tournaments next year that we don't know about. So like all those things, it's like you guys might not even know that. We might not even know that, but we do our best to budget on what we project.
Mhm.
That's our operation.
Conservatively.
Conservatively,
Yeah.
yes.
And then vandalism's a good example of adding a line.
Yes,
item.
yeah.
Really.
100%.
Now it's its own thing. 'cause
Yeah,
It was. a
Yeah, and
significant
same
expense.
in horticulture too. We did horticulture and vandalism because we were taking these cool horticulture projects out of a certain budget line. It's like, we have the money for it. We'll just pull $5,000 so we can track like all the progress we're making. Remember the projects that we've done from year to year to year.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll do.
Fuel, oil and gas is a great example of one. Like we did not expect it to be $5
Right.
every month this year.
Right.
Per gallon for what we're filling. So like that budget line, we crushed basically, but we don't have a choice. So.
Yeah.
Need gas.
Yes, got them out. Okay, so there might be, if I lose anybody at any point, let me know, but like, that's kind of the flow of where we're at internally throughout the year. And I'll say like starting the day after the budget's adopted until like now in time every single year. Eric and I take a sheet and we just put a bunch of notes on the old operation sheets. Like this looks like we're gonna need to switch it, or this is not gonna work out. We're gonna have to increase this, or maybe we could cut here, or if we get a new employee, like we asked, we're gonna have to increase this line next year for uniforms, for professional development, those kind of stuff. So we're always tracking that stuff throughout the year so that when we get to this point, we'll have like a 2 hour meeting, give or take, to kind of go through all of our notes. And then we'll develop that plan together, and that gets to finance.
A couple other things to consider is we approved additional position Parks and Rec, but then soon after did a hiring freeze, so that position hasn't been fulfilled for the entire year. So that's kind of will probably influence what the staffing for 2027 is, or maybe delay again, I don't know. And then another consideration is after that, those departmental kind of going over that. It always occurs where there's gonna be some negotiations, everybody's gonna be asked to tighten up in order to accomplish or meet some sort of deficit. That's just part of budgeting, right?
Yep.
This or that. So even if that is the recommendation, that might not occur. So it is important for you guys to rally on or provide really intentional and compelling reasons behind the things that you guys want to pay for. So, and that'll be why you should present on or be present for the budget meetings that go over this department. And if anything, you guys have more trust and weight than ever before for this year. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that that will probably happen. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody want more background on the frozen employee? Did anybody have a chance to watch the meeting last night? Because Nick did a presentation based on
Yeah.
that.
I was there and that was super insightful.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and we probably talked about it and it just kind of was something I didn't hold on to, but
Yeah.
it was nice. I mean, it's a bummer, but
Yeah.
understandable
Right.
why
And
you have to make the decision to do the
Yeah.
hiring freeze.
it's 3 positions across the
Yes,
entire
it's
organization.
not just the parks technician
Yeah.
position. And to Madam Mayor's point, we did have compelling evidence to put that into the budget originally,
It's needed.
right? We were increasing property. Right now, we probably have one less than we already need. We're talking about having a full-time person on weekends, all sorts of reasons behind doing that, which potentially would save money over time. But putting that into the budget for the long-term costs and all the benefits and everything, where we got to, it's been about a month now, we sat down and our revenues as a town just did not match reasoning or ability to put in multiple new employees on hot frozen positions, so.
Yeah.
So that's still outstanding, but that doesn't, we froze those employees prior to putting the actual dollar amount against the budget or
Mhm.
into the budget, I would say.
Yeah.
I'd say against the budget or against the bottom line. So none of that is actually reflected in the 2026 budget, just the idea that those positions are still part of the budget, but frozen for revenue reasons,
Mhm.
basically. And we as a town kind of have the ability to make the rule with that, so we're still considering those positions within the departments that they're frozen. We're just not able to move forward
It's-
with.
Possible because of Cleveland Avenue that this year is gonna be a little harder than most.
Yeah, it's not that it's not needed, it's just that it's
Yep.
Yeah.
And,
expensive.
yep,
That's the other piece of that, when I think about, the revenue being down, like, yeah, the Main Street thing is, but when we talk about, when we looked at our leakage report and how much money people are spending other places because they
Yeah.
don't have access, it's just one more driver of
Yeah.
why we need
Uh-huh.
the sorts of
Yeah.
things we're asking for in our Parks Master Plan.
Yeah, they're investments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, and I think Eric did a good job of hitting that home
Mhm.
last night, that it's not necessarily just about the amenity itself and recreation.
It's an
Yes, that's what it
economic driver.
brings, but
Uh-huh.
it's an economic driver.
And I think you guys as trustees and mayor too, like, understand that there's an overwhelming support of that
Yep.
Yeah.
from the board, which is super nice.
But when it comes down to the dollars and you're saying this or that, that's that idea, it's sometimes hard to.
Mhm. Cause you can't just create
Especially
more
more
money.
right.
And
It
it's
is.
gonna be an immediate thing.
Well, yeah, it's not just, it's the idea of, the overall influence versus the cash for cash. Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, when you put a shop in and you see the actual physical numbers of revenue generated from tax, it's different than saying, well, we held a tournament and we, based on assumptions, which assumptions that are been proven, Parks and Rec departments have been trying to prove this for the beginning of this fight of like what economic drivers we actually are,
Mhm.
that it's just an idea that we're bringing in, 6, 12, 15 teams for an entire weekend, and we can't pinpoint, we can't follow them around and be like, how much more tax did you get from, these 3 softball teams at your restaurant? Can you tell, like,
Yeah.
it's impossible.
Yeah, not traceable.
You can make very, very good assumptions.
Right.
And AI has helped with some of that to say that there is leakage, but you can't just say a 1-to-1, like.
Yeah.
We put this shop in, that's how much tax revenue we have.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go to the
But it
grill
does.
afterwards and there's 4 kids in uniforms and you're like, I see it, yeah.
Mhm.
Yes,
But you can't.
you
it's
see
hard
the
to quantify.
people there,
Yeah.
that how much? And how many, all we could talk about that for days, because that's what,
I eat out more when I do softball.
yeah,
We were bright pink,
true.
so
So does my son's team.
it's easy to, yes.
I know we track a lot of it at the shop, so I think a lot of the businesses probably could talk some percentages,
Go ahead.
if you wanna know, I mean.
Yeah,
That'd be great to know.
I know the Main Street program has an initiatives to start tracking more of those kind of things too. I don't know the progress they've made, but those are, all the groups that are already tracking it are great too. But that feedback is great until that's available. So,
Okay, so then. Next step for our budgeting process, and this is, just so you all know, this is like an annual, we've kind of refined this very well over the last, since I've been here, from year 1 to year now, kind of everybody knows, not the specific dates, but just the steps in the process. So yeah, September 2nd, we meet with finance and department and admin, and then fee schedule adoption and consideration. I don't know how much we'll have. We might have a few things this year, specifically with some of the stuff we're trying to do with rentals and things, but then we have our workday with the board of trustees. And then we have our budget bonanza, which is really and not many communities do this, and I think it grows almost every year. But this is our way for leadership and admin and finance to basically do a little mini master planning thing where an effort where we're like, look, this is what we're looking for. What do you want? Like, this is our outreach.
Yeah.
And every year we go to the library, post up there and just show the community where we're at, what projects we're working on, what they would like to see. Any questions they have with budgeting, that's our outreach. And then October 13th is our first budget presentation to the Board of Trustees. After that, it's a little bit more finance. And then stuff that's kind of a little adjunct to the PROST board, but utility rate adoption considerations, which is extremely important for the entire town. And then hopefully, if we get everything right and we have the good, strong conversations between town staff, board of trustees, all of the advisory boards, you know, all of the people who run advisory boards go through this process too. And then the community, and we can go for adoption and consideration. And throughout all that, I would say we probably have at least 2 or 3 different times. I would say at least twice, where we say this is that, and then we get either some sort of an agreement to move forward with an operations and a CIP budget, and then it kind of goes to the board and then comes back and there's that consideration piece of where actual numbers are at, and then we have to do revisions. And then we go back to the board and then we do more revisions, or we're all on the same page. And then we put it all together for all the departments and see where everything is at. And then it goes back to the board, hopefully for adoption.
Yeah, and then everything you see in blue pretty much is an open meeting, which is available for anybody to provide feedback. And then we accept like feedback in multiple other ways throughout the entire process too. So anybody can have input on it and tell us what they think and want, so, or don't want. There's a lot more don't want.
Yes,
Yeah.
and in our budget presentation, to the board, we've kind of switched up what that looked like from when we did our presentation and John stepped up and talked about the master plan and everything. I don't know how it'll physically look this year, but the past 2 years, we've actually just sat at a big round table, more like work session stuff, more like this, more like what we set up for PROST than actually going up to the dais. When John presented for the master plan or backing the master plan and reasoning, that was at a budget presentation to the board. That would have been our, you know, like the October 13th budget presentation of this year. But at that one, if there's something we're passionate about or want to just like knock something home, that's something I will talk to administration about, you guys being there and having a purposeful space to speak in that meeting, whether it's one of you or multiples of you, or you're all there just in support of it. There is space for anybody and everybody in the community to come to those ones, but aligning a space for someone to speak out on behalf of PROST. It doesn't have to be in that situation. Like last night, Sarah, it was public comment that you wanted to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We can work through just as John did and have an actual space that they know. And it's basically, we put a little presentation together and it was in the packet when John spoke. So
You're saying the October 13th meeting?
would most likely be that space.
Cool.
Or, you know, if PROST wants to have a board at budget bonanza, are you kidding me? Like that would
Be cool.
that would be something that nobody's done before. And it would probably be Parks and Rec. We always have a little board that we put up and like every department right next to it. It could just be like PROST, and we could have the master plan on a board or something like that. And just talk about where that 5 to 10 year CIP
That'd be cool.
looks like.
We'd have to make it look
Yeah, we
cooler.
give away free pumpkins, so engaging kids is also a great part of that too. And you give away candy as if you're, you know, trick or treating.
Yeah, we did candy, we did pumpkins, we do pumpkins every year. Little side note, one of our collections and distribution supervisor brings this cool old
Yeah.
Ford. It's a Ford, right? Or is it a Chevy? It's a Ford. And he parks it out. Have you guys ever been to Bonanza? It's actually pretty cool.
It's a cool photo
It's
op.
really fun.
It is. He parks right in front of the library, right where the canopy is. And we just fill it with pumpkins and hay and stuff like that. And the kids come and get free pumpkins. And then last year we did popsicles or something like that. I feel like
Yeah.
I remember.
What if we get
Push
kids,
pops,
people
yeah.
with kids, they're looking at a 5 to 10 year plan, suddenly you have people who want to put roots down here for 5 to 10 years,
Yeah.
see what's in it for their kids that
Yeah.
are.
Yep.
And it's scheduled right after Ice gets out, so we try to catch as many people just in the area.
At least
Maybe
there.
for.
Driving by or watching.
We have popsicles, we have
Yeah.
pumpkins. Come
Nice
look
to
at
get out
budget
before
stuff.
us.
So that's the process. And, with the master plan getting adopted and with us making this 5 to 10 year CIP and with Barry Dunn's help before it gets to a place, just know that, budgets and specifically, long-term visioning projects, they get moved around quite a bit based on revenues and expenditures and what becomes maybe more of a priority in case something were to fail or something, like if a grant pops up, it's like, hey, we have an opportunity right now to make
Mhm.
a 2029, portion of the 5 year CIP activated in 2028 because of this grant opportunity. Like all that kind of stuff can absolutely change. And we can do budget revisions mid-year with the board of trustees. We can go in and change if there's very significant reasoning behind it. Which we have done in the past and reallocated certain dollars for certain things. So
Yeah.
Even though this is all like very played out and very like structured, it's always very fluctuating because at any one point, if revenue increases, let's just say, we could unfreeze that position in any year when we do a mid-year revision. Or at any one point, we could say, look, revenues aren't looking great. Is there any way even mid-year we can look to reduce by 5% in everybody's line? Or where are we going to be able to save? Just because we have to be fiscally responsible and leadership in general, I think has done a really good job over the last few years to do that. And we've taken revisions back to the board every single year and kept operations as optimally as possible while still, meeting goals financially.
Yeah. And by the way, this is our budget book itself and this process have been nationally acknowledged as leading in the entire country. So it is a very wonderful process and it's shown to be like visually transparent, and there's other categories of those awards, but it is it's a great process. GFOA. Tell me what that, I forget always.
Government finance, Financial Officers Award,
Yeah.
2 years in a row.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I don't know, you two might be the only ones that have seen the ones from, finance from 2019.
I've come a long way.
And that's not to say anything in the past was wrong. It's more just to say like, we've all tightened up what we're doing in our departments. And then it spreads out and it spreads out. And then when admin comes in and says, now we can add this and this and this piece, we've got it all dialed in and it comes up in the budget book where it's like, this is what we're doing. Like there's nothing inside of here that isn't told to the public.
Mhm.
And everything that you want to see that we're doing is right inside of here.
Yeah, and you see how many times it goes to the public before any decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think some of the changes that we had along the way is kind of what Billy's talking about, where we have the wells and water stuff, and then like the pump houses and the splash pad are all involved, where we've moved like certain administrative costs to different areas, so it's easier to track. And where we can actually say, this is why we need a little bit more money because this is aging and we need to increase our budget here or there. And it's the reason why the budget has gotten better in the last few years, because they do separate out all that stuff and it just looks a lot cleaner than it ever has before. Because like you said, back before we had line items that we're just gonna throw money at this. And it's this group of things. We don't know exactly what we're gonna spend it on, but it's gonna go between A, B, and C. And it's like, well, can't we just put A, B, and C in different categories? And they did. and it looks a lot neater and it's a lot easier to read, so. Finance has done a great job on that, and the departments deciding how they're gonna split their line, so.
Yeah, and I hope we've been slowly getting more transparent over the last few years with this group about where the money's going, you know, like when we come back and say, hey, there's an idea for the Q-Star cameras, or what are we gonna do with XYZ? And I want you guys to vote on those things, like, is this a good appropriation of funds that you guys have fought to get in our department? And it's like, yeah, okay, let's keep moving forward with these projects, so. And the wish list, like all that kind of stuff, like when John presented that, it's like that was basically the 5-year CIP, just
Yeah,
showing them
yeah.
what you're working on, even though we wanted to wait for this process to get through implementation to have that 5-year CIP, 10-year, 5 to 10 CIP. But it's always been there. It's just getting more and more transparent as we move forward.
What is the timeline for the very done
So
CIP?
So it's great that you brought that up. I'm working with Jason. I have on the meeting schedule. We can move to that now. We can do that. What do you guys want to know before we move there? What do you want to know more about the process? Anything more about?
One of the questions that usually
Yes.
comes up over the years is where does parks money come from?
Okay.
Do you guys wanna talk more about that? Cause that was always like kind of like wait, how do we fund?
Yeah,
Um,
it should be pretty close to it. There should be a page from revenue about our park specific revenues.
Yeah, I don't know if you wanna talk about it or not, but.
No,
Yeah,
good.
I think absolutely. And maybe we should just run through, and there's a lot of information, just start at the Parks Fund. There's a lot of information before this, again, straight out of the budget book, find it on our website, all that kind of stuff, but we go through everything everything we work on, everything that we're working on as far as projects, and then what we've accomplished, and a lot of that, comes directly from this group too. So is this the page? This is just an overall. So this doesn't give the full breakdown of revenues. It just shows that straight revenue. I think we'd have to go further up. Isn't that down there? To show, so this is what our operations budget looks like, just while we're on this page. It's just this right here is just like an overview of what our revenue is. We don't transfer anything in, although, let me say this now, we haven't shown transfers in the past. But specifically parks, and then I'll speak to the park side. Parks doesn't generate revenue, right? We'll talk about where our revenue comes from for parks. And recreation in our town is part of the parks budget. Now, recreation does create revenue. We're not a special district, so we don't expect to create a profit or break even.
Yeah.
Break even. So our recreation department also pulls from our revenue that we get for parks, because it's a parks and recreation, and that's trails and whatever we do to maintain open spaces and all that kind of stuff within our department. So when you see transfer in, that would be like if we were specifically transferring money from one fund to another fund. Like, it's not shown here, but we take money from the general fund because the general fund supports the park fund.
Right.
And that has never been specifically stated that it has to be. But one thing that finance and our department's goal is to actually show that transfer in so we can capture it over time. It's never been shown. Usually we only do, in the past, have done transfer ins for, sorry, I can't think of the name, like the water fund and the street fund, or not the water fund.
Indirect.
No, they're, not special funds. Why can't I think of the name?
Enterprise?
Yeah, enterprise funds. Thank you.
Yeah.
Legally, you have to show transfers in and out of it. So if recreation was its own thing in our town, and we were having to transfer to support recreation for some reason, like a project, we would have to show that fund, because parks and recreation is generally supported by the general fund. We've never really captured that specifically, but it's one thing that we want to capture.
Yeah.
As whereas an enterprise fund, you have to go back and show and track that.
Yeah, because then the law may limit.
Yeah,
what
because
the-
the enterprise funds are
Yeah.
capped, so we can't.
Thank you for getting there.
Yeah,
Yes,
So where does the money in the general fund come from? And that's primarily investments, sales tax, property tax.
Right here.
There we go.
I can zoom in.
there we go.
And then voters
You're right there.
approved for
Sorry.
additional sales tax to benefit streets and parks above and beyond, and they actually renewed that, I don't know, few years ago. So a portion of that additional sales tax goes to, was that 60-40? I don't remember.
It's
the
one,
split.
1% sales tax.
49% of 1%.
Yeah, so 1% sales tax was approved. Originally, there was no specific split stated.
Mhm.
Parks was up until 6 years ago, I'm right, 5.5, 6 years ago. Parks were actually taken care of by streets,
Mhm.
and then parks got absorbed to a Parks and Recreation department.
Mhm.
So at which point that 1% that had originally been stated needed to be split because they were, 1% just went to streets, but that was also supporting parks. So at this point, when it was renewed, 1% sales tax was then split 0.55, 0.45 to, streets gets 55% of 1% and parks gets 45% of 1% of sales tax from the town.
Right, and then every building permit, there is an impact fee associated with that for, new development. It requires
Yeah,
more
$100.
parks to support it, that's what that impact fee is. And then you paying fees to play soccer, those are the recreation fees. The batting cage is gonna be a contentious item this year, so you guys should probably come with a recommendation, I would suggest. And then, yeah, all the other things that you see there for it.
Yep.
Yeah, you used to.
And everywhere you see a specific number like 210-01-31-30, which is the sales tax, which is a good chunk of our revenue.
Mhm.
That specific line item goes to finance and it's basically kept within an area that can be used for what it's designed for.
Yeah.
So anywhere you see a 210 specifically means operating budget for Parks and Recreation or capital budget for Parks and Recreation.
What
Uh,
are the sponsorships? The Parks and Rec sponsorships?
Yeah, so anytime we get a sponsorship, we have a sponsorship package, like this year. We've gotten sponsorships for multiple different things, not always specifically monetary.
Correct. Comcast gives us the licensing and free movies for
For
all
the-
movies in the park.
Yeah,
Okay.
or
Gives us $1,500 a year.
right, or Shields. Shields does a program with our youth recreation,
Mhm.
and within youth recreation, they get, they get 20, all the kids get 20% off whatever they sign up for if they go to Shields. Shields gave us a $2,500 gift card to use for recreation supplies. So basically it's a $2,500 donation, but it's not a cash donation, so you don't really show that as a specific revenue, but then they also put up their cup signs, so like we have
Yeah.
kind of a package that they get to promote through our recreation
Yeah.
and build their revenue while they also give us money that we can spend that, although it doesn't show in here, whether we will use it, but that could save one of our line items, $2,500 worth of baseball bats, helmets, whatever that is. So it's kind of like one of those balance things. We're still gonna show that.
The book that you guys put out where businesses could sponsor, right?
Yeah, we have a sponsorship package, but.
Yeah,
but,
okay. So, yeah.
There's a nonprofit interested in sponsoring softball.
Yes.
Next season potentially, so that could be a change. And then you see the grants and things on that. Those we can't, unless, they're not for sure, right? So usually those would be an adjustment mid-year of saying, yes, we're accepting the grant, or it would be in place of a capital expense as it was for that's the dock, right?
So as it were for the dock, and
Yeah,
and those of you that were here for the dock know, but we budgeted for the dock.
right.
Proposed that we were looking for a grant, but we wanted to budget anyways. It was approved in the budget. We were awarded the grant for $40,215.
Mhm.
Went back to the board for an reappropriation of the money to use the funds that were already appropriated in the budget for a reappropriation on funding for internal building of the dog park and purchasing of the multi-golf course with the same amount of money.
Mhm.
So that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
great
adjustment.
example of adjustments mid-year. Whereas the board could have said, based on revenues, that like, no, we saved that money in grants, let's keep it in there. We had a very viable reason, had a plan, showed that people wanted a dog park,
Mhm.
showed that we needed to redo the multi-golf course because of all of the reasons that we said, or the disc golf course. So those are the processes that this group has worked on, where we do those like very hard impacts on what the budget is. So we might come up with that 5 to 10 year CIP. We might go out and say, wink, wink, we want to put that second dock in because we only got the money for the first dock from the grant. I'd love to do that,
Yeah.
right? And then say like, hey, we also have another project next year on a 5 year CIP. Could we move that up because we get another grant? Totally hypothetical.
Right.
But we actually show that in a plan rather than going to the board and saying, here's the PROST wish list, which is fantastic, but it's like, this is the 5 year CIP. We save money this year. It's still in our budget. Can we come and do this project that's a little under that this year too? Well, it's
So
all part of the process.
my next question is, okay, so we have a 2026 budget. What are the numbers in those budgets right now? Like if we were to look at what, and this probably is a work session. I mean, I know that,
That will.
you know,
That will.
cause
And
that's the next question for me is like, okay, well, we didn't use that money. What happens to it now? Does it just go into next year's budget? How do we increase? Where do we? And I know that's probably within your guys' team and
Yeah.
it does not need to be a deep dive right now. But just something I'm curious about.
It'll be like to date and then estimated
Yeah,
by the end of the year. And then that way you can compare what the estimated real number is against the estimated revenue number for the full year too.
Okay.
And be able to compare those side by side, so you can kind
Sometimes
of.
like
see
delayed
it.
reporting too.
Yeah,
Okay.
right, so, but those will come later in the process and those will be presented to us.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
There was a few years back that we had extra money and we were really pushing to try to get it spent that budget year. And that's why I asked Billy to kind of go over the process, is because we kept getting pushback from the trustees and from town administration that we were too late in the process to push through. But we had money that was just itching to get spent, and we had projects, we had all these projects that would have fallen underneath that. And that's why I think it's really important to know that, like I was saying, it goes throughout the year. So we gotta be thinking about it as soon as the budget process starts is, okay, we do have these mid-year changes, we have adjustments. If we see something that's not gonna play out and we have money sitting there, like Billy said, what's on our CIP? What can we go to the trustees with? That, hey, we have this now. Maybe we buy it now. And we get that off our list. And there was like the pour in place, that it didn't get poured right away, but we had the contract in place.
Mhm.
So it wasn't weather time to do pour in place, but we got the money, we got the contract, when then the weather changed, pour in place happened.
Yeah.
So those are things to think of as the process goes on, just kind of watching it as it all plays out.
Yeah, and if you guys are ready for those are opportunities to take advantage of.
ready.
Yeah.
And now we have, with the master plan, we can say that we have the backing to do this.
Yeah,
Yeah. Without going like total deep dive, we know that the community center is a big thing. That's gonna be more driven. That's not coming out of a parks budget, right? That's gonna be like when you do the feasibility study, then it comes to discussing how you raise those funds.
Yes, basically, yeah.
Okay.
Gonna be seeing if the community wants to do a sales tax increase or
Bonds.
it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Looking for
it's saying
donations.
to be like, cause it even costs money to research and ask people how they wanna pay for
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
So it might be just a line item that says,
We're gonna help fund that.
yeah,
Well, yeah, it'll be something that says,
if we were to go to
Research.
voters, would that be
Research and
successful?
feasibility.
I
Do they
mean,
want
we,
it?
we've done a feasibility study,
Yeah.
which sounds crazy to think that we could do another feasibility study, but it wouldn't be just about if the community needs a Rex, we know that it does, right? We've
Yeah.
done that
That's the
study.
next step.
It's
Yeah.
the funding
Fund it.
feasibility
Yeah.
or
Data
viability.
collection.
Yeah, it would be more of a polling of,
Yeah.
if this were the option and you were to vote, would this be something for? So
Yeah.
that might be the case. We don't have a clear direction yet on that,
So
so.
but we as town staff do have directive to move forward with trying to figure out options.
Right,
Okay.
right.
On
So,
how it looks.
looking for grants, finding opportunities, wondering what the questions are, so that we can start doing that. So they do have that direction very clearly right now, but how that plays out in money is gonna be part of the budget
Mhm.
process, so.
Okay, cool.
And we are continuing to encourage a review and increase on the impact fees.
Actually,
So I talked to Nick about this, that requires, we would need to budget for an entire research to increase the
Yeah.
impact fees. So if that's something that we want to do, that needs to be a CIP fund. And my suggestion that I got from Nick is something we should do is at the same time, it would be worth adding in a study for an impact fee if we did get the community center built, just so that we have, because it's the same thing, right? They also need the exact same type of study. And so he was like, if you're gonna look at increasing impact fees, since you're gonna need that for a community center, you might as well do all three at
Yeah.
the same time.
So we could budget a CIP for that specifically.
Our impact fees have been below.
Yeah.
Most of the surrounding towns for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
This would be really cool if we could get that done.
Yeah, and then, but legally you have to prove that that is the right amount to charge. So
Yeah.
like, that's the study. That's the purpose of the study. Us knowing that it should be higher is one thing, but us being able to defensively say,
It has to be defendable.
defendable.
But then if we do all three, then we are already ahead of where we need to be for.
And we can talk about plan for, new buildings, helping paying for the operating costs.
Yeah.
of The community center.
Yes, and no, there are plenty of companies that will do multiple, they would do. There are companies that will do like town-wide, but the thing is that certain entities or certain basically throughout the fee schedule. They've done more recent ones than we have, so they don't necessarily need to be updated, so we just have to pick and choose, like Eric said. For us, maybe the three most important or the two most impactful that would be kind of grouped together,
Mhm.
which those three would make sense, and that's kind of how we
Yeah.
would potentially kick off, or after we did a feasibility study for how we would pay for it. Then show how portion of it would be paid for by going through an impact fee study.
Yeah.
So like, it just depends on which one makes sense and timing wise to do first.
Yeah, and then again, the impact fee only comes with development though, so that is for new development dwellings for, incremental homes or commercial as well. So,
New builds.
$0 comes unless those building permits come to fruition.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
So thank you for those apartments that came in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That definitely sounds like that's something that we should put as a real focus when it comes to looking at our CIP.
Yeah.
For the next couple of years.
Other things that I think are just important to keep in mind, any year we do come in under our estimated budget, whatever we don't spend, as long as we're not pulling from our ending fund balance, goes back into the parks fund for the next year. And that's what all of our CIP funds get pulled from. So this is where we're sitting based on this year's budget of our park fund for our CIP. So that's the number, unless we are looking at our budget this year and estimating we're gonna save,
Trying to.
$50,000, we will be sitting at the 940, in theory, sitting at the 947 to use for CIP funds. And the only way that that gets replenished is if we underspend each year or bring in more revenue than we actually spend out, which, as we learned last night, we're not on track to do, so.
Or,
Mhm.
yeah, or if we turn internal revenue over expenditures, such as less expenditures via grants.
Yeah.
And not using that for revenues. So we have to be very fiscally conservative, even though we want to do some great things, but until, the larger scale idea, more revenue for the town increases, a lot of where we get our money from isn't changing. There are other places that we get money from, and then there are other types of funds, that, and we will discuss that.
Does
That-
I'm gonna ask a quick
Okay,
question.
yeah,
Does the town apply for all of the grants? Like, is there a position within the town that's researching and applying for grants? Or if we found one as a PROST board
Oh, you guys absolutely could, like,
Yeah.
if we found one,
or
as a
so?
PROST board, it would fall on the town to apply for the grant, but the
Yeah.
PROST board in the past, like specifically with the doc, wrote letters of support and recommendation, like.
Okay.
We absolutely can, but the town is the one that has to, because we have to be the one that's in charge of accounting for all of the paperwork, basically, the
some-
paper trail.
rock star grant writers. We've received more than $7 million in grants in the last few years. So that's
Okay.
what this Main Street project is.
Yeah,
right?
I only know nonprofits,
So,
so that's
yeah.
why I asked.
Yeah, Joe on this board is very interested in pursuing grants too, so that might be
I might-
a great task to do. But the town will not pursue a grant unless it's part of our strategic direction
Okay,
or part of a CIP. So if it's some random thing that we hadn't planned to do and isn't part of our strategic plan, it's not within the scope of what we want to do, so we would not apply for a grant like that.
yeah, that makes
So, that's why it's important to have the CIPs in the near future, because, you know, if you find an opportunity, bump it up, like,
Mhm.
that's the way to do it. So, but if they're not on the plan, they're not in the CIP, we likely won't spend the time and energy to pursue a grant.
And part of that is because sometimes it's hard to have it, you just won't win if there's no proof that you're ever gonna try it.
Mhm.
anyway.
Yeah,
totally.
It's mean.
Right.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. I think that gives a good overview and then allows us to know kind of where we need to
Mhm.
look moving forward.
Anything else?
Okay. We'll move on to the next item. Special meeting regarding operations and CIP budget.
Yes, please.
So I'm still trying to figure out with Jason, when, because it is part of implementation. When we could possibly get that done. Now, here's the time crunch with them and with this group. As we just went through, our first draft of CIP needs to go to finance 7th. I do have a planned vacation that I'm not changing starting the 2nd of August, so it would need, like, we have to have, I shouldn't say this group, Eric and I, have to have it to finance before I leave, unless there's, you know, certain things that come up. And it hasn't been pushed to finance, but like, I've got to be done with my portion before I leave,
Yeah, that's 2 weeks.
for my vacation.
Yeah.
So,
2 weeks not including Thursday, Friday.
Pull out your calendar.
pull out your calendars.
Mhm.
Yeah. But is that gonna be one where we also need to make sure that's a very and done one, right?
So I've reached out to Jason. He hasn't fully got back to me. He's acknowledged that and he's looking for a couple dates. But if we could also maybe give him a couple dates, he would not probably be here. He most likely would have to zoom in, but to make it feasible, we could do it on any night in this room and make it like more of a work session. We just call it a CIP work session
In the next 2 weeks before you leave.
in the next 2 weeks. And what Eric and I'll focus on is, and just remember, this is just the first round to them too. So like, there will be talk and revisions and all the finance stuff, and we will be able to move stuff here and there. But I think it's important just to talk with this group specifically about projects, give everybody like a week to think about, to look at that PROST wish list, to think internally about what everything we've talked about, the master plan, what the master plan says, and then throw stuff on that board, come up with a foundation of what we've talked about in the past and where the community really needs to see, and then parcel out at least the 2 to 3 year, I think would be the smartest thing.
Cool.
Eric, can you pull up page 57 in that document really fast?
The document or on the. packet?
In the other document that you sent, I think, or maybe it's that one. Where it has where it has like that. CIP, where it
Yeah.
at least gives us a place
Mhm.
to start and look at what we
Okay.
already
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And then go from there. Cause that at least gives us an idea of what's already been on the list, right?
And we just tossed everything on 2027, knowing,
Yeah,
and this was directed towards the board, knowing that some of this is gonna move based on the master plan.
right,
Yeah.
right, but now we can start with that at least. And.
Yeah.
Is that in like an Excel that we can plug and play with? At our meeting or a work session?
We can create.
We can create one, yes.
Can we do
It's
it?
not yet,
Easy.
Yeah,
well, it is for internal use, but we can
I was saying
do
pull
that.
something,
We can make that.
I think that would be a nice thing to
Okay.
have. I mean, the whiteboard's great, but if we already have something that we can plug and play in
Mhm.
at that work session. I
I'm
think
just
that'd
thinking
be
a
ideal.
think tank, but
Oh,
then
yeah,
putting it
But then
here.
if we could go from here,
Yeah.
to there as we narrow it down.
Yep.
And then we can pull it up next to what the actual, we have
Yeah.
the priorities.
Mm-hmm.
First priorities list, which like 90% of them align with what the master plan says, but now we have
Yeah.
different ideas. And then the other thing I would say to that is Eric just showed that bottom line of where our park fund is, right? So we have to be realistic. We have to be very realistic. But now that we have the master plan, now that we have we will have a drawn out defensible CIP plan. We then asterisk and we go to the board and say, this is what we want to do. And sometimes it's like, we will pursue this as we were to get a grant because we know there is a grant opportunity for this. Were we not to get the grant, we will remove this from funding at the bottom line.
Mhm.
Some of that can be tied in too.
Cool. Okay.
It's encouraging.
So,
That's awesome.
and a lot of that is good. And I would say some of the larger things we will need in the near future to do that with. But we have a master plan to throw at grants now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To say, look,
Now we're in a position to
Which-
apply for this.
It's so strong.
100%.
Yeah, I know, I'm on the lotto.
And I mean, we're talking about anything just like putting up there, like, okay, let me back up one step. I know we talked about this in the past. Sorry, I didn't mean to waylay here, but there is a difference between what we can use for operating and other, we've talked about general funds versus restricted funds, right?
Okay.
So certain funds that we have are restricted. So where we get the money, it says very specifically why we can and can't use this or what we can and can't use this for. Such as the purchase of the property here at Centennial.
A lot.
It was we used multiple buckets of restricted funding to purchase a property. We can't use that for operations. We can't use that to purchase a vehicle. We can't use that to buy or add a new employee. It specifically is stated for property that is purchased for park or property used to purchase for parkland. Certain buckets of that. So we have to use those restricted funds for that. So
Is
let
that
me make
included
that-
in our overall, whatever, 947? Was that a line? That's not.
No, that the restricted funding is not.
That's similar to grant
think so.
funding though, because it
Yeah.
has to go to
Yeah,
that
Right, so
thing.
so that's kind of where I was
Yeah.
gonna waylay into. There's certain funding that we can match with.
Yeah.
Let's just say for further parkland purchases or purchases for trail space.
Okay.
That we can only use a certain bucket of money for.
Mhm.
But then when you have that bucket of money, you might need if we were to research a grant, you have funding to match.
Okay.
Right, so, but we use that matching money only from a certain bucket and not from our general fund. But then there's other things where we would say like the dock, that was just coming out of our general funding as far as that was going, but we still got a grant for it, so like that. So there's just
Okay.
different ways,
We have our park funding, not our
or
general.
sorry, park fund,
We haven't
Thank
been
you.
paid by the general fund.
Thank you.
Since I've been.
thank you. So, so yes,
Okay.
That sounds awesome.
yeah.
And I did confirm, just in case Laurel and John are curious, that we did spend the entirety of the money that was dedicated from, I think, the Sage Development, on this land. So it is now gone.
fee in
It
lieu.
was used to purchase this property.
I would never want any more money to go into that bucket again anyways. I wanna just see the developers come to us and build parks.
Yeah.
Don't like in lieu
It
of,
was $82,500 instead of a park.
yeah, just build a park, please. Just build a park.
And like, we're looking at, I mean, you guys see right here, we got $80,000 in lieu of that park, and redoing the viewpoint playground is gonna cost that much.
Wow.
It's a tough number to swallow for sure.
Do we need to adjust our meetings from Wednesdays if Joe has a hard time making Wednesday meetings as we look at our future calendar?
I'm gonna start texting her and see if.
I
it different
mean-
is for her.
I don't know.
Is there a
I
night
mean,
that
it's
would
kind
work
of a-
better for Joe?
It's kind of a tough one because it's been Wednesday. There's reasons why it was Wednesday for many times
Sounds good to
and
me.
why it's been
Just-
adjusted. It's just tough to put a whole board through a date change for one member. And Joe's been doing a really good job about getting here. And this might just be kind of a fluke thing.
Mhm.
I mean, it really sucks that we don't have.
Well, he works
something
nights in
full-time.
general too, so like what other night would actually be
Right,
better?
yeah.
That's okay, I'm fine with that, I just wanted to,
I just asked him if he has any days in the next 2 weeks that he would be available.
Cause Tuesdays are
Perfect.
hard because the trustees meet and then they have their work
Yeah.
sessions and
Yeah, you
there's,
can't meet Tuesdays.
there's no way. And,
I'm fine with keeping Wednesdays, I
Yeah.
just. So the 29th would give us enough time to schedule with Barry and Dunn, it's another Wednesday.
Available.
Okay.
I am.
I'm
And
looking
does
every
that
day from
give-
now till when Billy leaves, so I'm good.
I know, Billy, does that give you enough time to turn around though? Cause that's like 3 days before
We're
you.
still doing the park walk on the 3rd, right?
Uh-huh.
Joe's available on the, oh,
What are we doing on? Oh, never mind, it's on my calendar.
I mean, for parking, preferably, I would do it next week if possible. Which would give us a little bit more time and flexibility.
So the
or
22nd?
or all next week? Okay, or the very beginning of that week,
I could do Monday, I cannot do Tuesday,
Joe can do Monday.
the 27th.
27th. Okay,
I'm
Oh,
supposed to be
27th.
gone, but I can push that. It's camping. I don't wanna go. Give me a reason to say.
That's recreation.
Give me a reason to stay.
Joe's
sorry,
available on
what?
the 20th.
The 20th?
It's a Monday. I could do that
It
too.
doesn't really give us enough time, does it, with Barry and Dunn to do the
Yeah.
upcoming Monday?
The 20th or the 27th.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh,
Laurel is
Oh,
away
Laurel's
that
gone,
week.
yeah.
yeah,
Okay. The week after.
I
What about
say-
the 27th?
27th
just
or
for
20
posterity,
30.
when do you get back, Laurelyn?
By Friday, the 24th.
Nobody says I mean, I don't wanna take anybody's weekend, but
I don't wanna do a weekend, I'm sorry.
yeah, so the 27th.
All the weekend.
27th? I can do that.
I can do the
I
27th.
can do the 27th.
Yeah, let me see what Jason, can do. Probably 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Cause that works for.
Joe can make the 27th work.
Okay, well, regardless of what Barry Dunn says, we can put something on our calendars and do our internal process.
Yeah.
I will get someone from Barry Dunn.
Are we meeting here?
Eric, can you look up here? Let me look up.
Yes.
Yeah, seriously.
We get
Absolutely.
pizza Or something like that. Why don't we get pizza or something like that?
And Citrix.
Why don't we get s'mores so that when you're not camping?
I am literally getting out of camping right now.
My kid works at Pizza Palace on Mondays. I'll just have him walk it over. There you go.
Gave us money and
So part of, again, the building permit is the dedication of building. So within their development plans, a portion of that land that they're developing has to be designated for open space and parks.
Okay.
So what was decided in part of that development plan, that they weren't going to do that because they were close to viewpoint or, whatever. And instead of doing that dedication and putting a park on that parcel or that development area, they gave us money
Okay.
to be spent for buying property elsewhere. So that was the deal that they made as part of that.
Exactly.
It was originally told to the board that we would be able to spend that money to fix Viewpoint.
Oh.
And then we were told later that we were not allowed to fix Viewpoint with the
Yeah,
money.
if it's in lieu of a land dedication, it has to be spent for land.
The conversation, the way we voted. was, I
Oh,
will only vote yes to do this if
Interesting.
we can have this money. To
Ah.
go towards Viewpoint, and that's why I'm very emotional about it, because I was there. I
Yeah.
voted specifically so that we could get that money towards
Yeah.
Viewpoint, and then we were told later after the fact that, sorry, we're not gonna do that, and so it just felt like it went against our vote.
yeah, that's
shade.
that's right.
And so that was a hard thing.
And I wasn't on the board for Harvest, and I don't know why we don't have anything more than what we have by the town homes, but we should have had a bigger part there too.
Just like our budgeting process has matured over the years, so has our development planning, our
Yeah.
land use code, our code enforcement. So
At the time, we
We're
did not
better.
have
we're doing better.
a dedicated staff and
Yeah,
it
process in place.
just was
It's good to know,
Yes.
I think it's
Mhm.
part of that is like not not knowing. I feel like we had a
Yeah.
meeting at one point and there was all this stuff and I was like, I don't know what's happened. And so it's hard as, I think it's really important for us as a board to have that
Yeah.
continuity and that clarity so we know what that looks like going forward. And it sounds like things have been adjusted the way that they've needed to, so that's not even,
Well,
you know, we know a lot more going in and there's a set process. So thank you guys for working through, guys and gals for working through that.
anytime a developer comes in and proposes anything such as that, or such as their plan for their use of park and open space that they have to dedicate, it must come in front of this board too.
And then we
Or
also-
recommendation.
Yeah.
We also need
recommendation.
to understand what that
recommendation.
looks like and how that can be functioned so that we know exactly what.
And
we're
another
looking
thing,
to.
a part of the process of implementation, which will happen at some point with this group, is the development of standards. That we can just say,
Here it is.
here's the standards, here's what trails need to look like, here's what
Yep.
playgrounds need to look like.
Minimum requirements for this and
Yeah,
that.
minimum,
this and that.
minimum
Feel free to go.
requirements. And that's gonna sit outside, the goal is, that's not gonna be part of the master plan document, because that was already adopted. In talking with Jason, I made an executive decision because I wanted it to sit outside of the master plan, because I want that to be more easily adapted. I want the master plan to sit at what the master plan was, but if industry standards change in 3 years,
Mhm.
we haven't adopted a new master plan, I don't wanna go to the board and say we need to adjust the master plan. I wanna go to the board and say, we've done internal work to change our standards, if the board so deems that we need to.
I think that was a
You
smart
know,
choice.
but it's a technical document, not a planning document. And I didn't want it to be an appendix that we had to look at and change if
Okay,
needed
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
Perfect.
think landscape standards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the same kind of,
Yeah.
same concept.
So is that something then that we should prioritize doing within the next year?
Well, it needs to be, so Barry Dunn's technical original end date with us was June 31st.
Oh.
But because things moved on, we came to an agreement which was signed by both parties that they're gonna be retained until October. No fees have been changed. We've done nothing for the budget. It doesn't change anything. They're just willing to continue the work that they signed on to do until October, because they know, and we gave them.
Just being more spread
It's-
out.
It's in the contract that we as the town have the ability to allow them. Typically, you don't wanna do that for a contractor when they say, we need more time. It's like, no, we have a schedule. This is like, yeah, we will grant you that time because you've asked for certain things and we've also
Mm-hmm.
asked for certain changes that have elongated. As we know, we were gonna go for adoption in June.
Yeah.
There were certain recommendations that changed it to July. There were certain changes that I made, such as the park standards. That's like, yes, you can, because we've also asked for things. So we signed that agreement, or basically a letter of amendment on the contract that was within the contract limits.
Okay, does that then need to be added to as an agenda item for a future
For future,
calendar?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll work with Jason on what that looks like, but one thing that they still have to do is a full implementation meeting.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to pull, because CIP was part of the implementation, we're gonna have to pull that aside and do that specifically, so that's why I'm working with him to see what that looks like as far as the contract, because they don't wanna just send a bunch of people all the time, every time we ask. But a Zoom meeting for a CIP is very
Yeah.
important for implementation, but a full implementation sit-down meeting is part of the contract, where we all sit with them.
Okay.
Whether it's, and I would hope that it's this group that they come through, and then anybody from leadership that would like to be part of implementation.
Awesome.
But that's, yes,
Okay,
so when they
sounds
asked
good.
for October, I was like, do you wanna do like February of 2029 and just keep helping us with it? But the development of the CIP the earlier we do that, will help them with implementation, because implementation also is them helping us earmark certain grants that could fall in line with what the CIP does. So it says, in 2029, we're looking for the CIP to do whatever we change on our CIP, so that we know we're looking out for something like that.
Okay,
A
cool.
lot of that is just hypothetical, but also part of what they're gonna help us do.
So do we need to now vote on the special meeting? Or are we good to
For
just
the
get it on the
22nd.
calendar?
I don't think you're actually required to vote.
Okay,
Is that a work session anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
work session.
I think that's just an addition to
Yeah.
what you guys are, we're all doing.
They just have to notice it, that's it.
Yeah.
And we talked about this last time, just I just want to confirm, we're not under the sunshine laws for the PROST board, correct?
There's been
I know
very,
that was the last
varying
decision I
thoughts of
heard, but I
that.
wasn't sure if that was still the case.
there's been varying thoughts of that, but the truth is you guys are providing recommendations. You're not actually conducting town business. So that's kind of where that's straight, but it's always in general, good transparency to notice the community that you're going to be talking about something, and then doing that conversation in public when they can attend, if they so choose. Like, we could have 100 people here today if they so wanted to. This is a public meeting that's been noticed. And then, so that way they have the opportunity to speak on it or provide feedback or anything, and that's just transparency, right? And then it's in the minutes and all the things and documented so that people can see what we're doing. So in general, that's it, but the sunshine law is otherwise saying that you guys are not conducting business outside of public. So if you guys came in here and we're like, we're doing this, this, and this, and this, and 3 of you guys decide that, that's why that rule exists, is because it's just not transparent. You aren't looking or getting feedback or considering public opportunities when you're doing that. So that's the feedback behind that, but for, yeah, we only have to notice it if more than 2 of us are here. But otherwise, we always communicate it on the web. We do the agenda, we do all the things, and we let people know in the meeting, so.
So if we're still on future calendar, we have our, we have the work session on the 27th. And then our August meeting, well, then we have the parks visit on the 3rd. And then are we also holding our meeting on the 12th? Anybody?
Are you still out of town for that one?
I will get back that day.
Yes.
The 12th?
Didn't we talk about that because Billy wasn't gonna be here?
Yeah. But I thought we also,
Still doing it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
we did talk about still doing it with our acting. Yeah, see, I tried to do that at Eric last night. He didn't get it. Or he just ignored me.
I did not get it.
I wasn't sure.
Need some behind it.
He was like zoned in. It was fine.
We had talked about pushing it to the week after, but that's the
First
day
week of school.
So
Yeah.
we
Yes.
said that was.
School starts the 19th.
So I
What
think
we-
that's,
Ultimately decided is that we weren't gonna push meetings just because we had 1 or 2 absences, as long as we could still get a quorum going. That's the kind of the important part, and we're all still getting our agendas and giving feedback through emails, so. I think we don't push meetings for something like that, we just try to stick to our schedule. It also helps with what Rebecca was saying with the public, is if we're consistent with our meeting dates. They don't have to look at the calendar, they don't have to
They
go,
know.
they just know it's gonna be there,
cool.
so we try to keep it. As uniform as possible.
Like Dennis is probably just confused right now,
Yeah.
or was last.
It was last week.
Cause I didn't tell him. Oops. Yeah,
I
think
do
he
have to
now
go, I
thinks-
apologize.
Okay.
It's 7:30, I'm supposed to leave like 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
so.
Oh, have
Alright.
to go these soon too.
Okay,
Thanks,
Hi,
Dawn.
Dawn.
hey, you guys.
Wanted your social
So
media.
then on the 12th, can we add to discuss the Veterans Garden again and circle back around to that so that doesn't get dropped, please?
Yep.
Especially if, well, we
I was
covered
thinking
in our
back
work
on the
session.
4th of July with that, you
I don't
know,
know, I did the parade and then I found.
The 4th of July? I did not
We didn't
see-
really do, because
The sign was up.
the sign was up, but I felt like because we were scrambling last minute and then there was the feedback about the town logo needing to be on
Uh-huh.
things, I just was like, I can't do this in 2 days, it's too much. And
Yeah.
I felt like it was too much for everybody, and so I just kind of.
Then we had also mentioned adding it to the Veterans Day.
Yeah,
Having that be our kickoff.
That would
and
be my
all of the
goal.
logos would be done by then and signage, and it would
Yeah.
be a nice.
So that's
packet.
why I wanna make sure we finalize all of that and all,
Yeah.
because Jesse sent an email that still had questions about one of the donation tiers that
Yes.
wasn't answered, so.
okay.
We're running out of time right now because we still have a park visit to do, so, correct? Correct. Okay, so, I wanna make sure it's on our August agenda. Is there anything else that we need to have on our August agenda?
It's pretty big.
Yeah, I feel like that's enough,
Yeah.
and that may require a work session if we get to that
Yeah.
point. Okay,
One thing that not for a future agenda, but maybe today, if not today, sometime when you all have a chance, I would love to walk you all through where our parks team operates out of.
Yeah.
I just want you all to see that and understand like the things that
Tools and.
Billy and I, but like specifically I am arguing and fighting for. Because I think it'll be more surprising than some people understand of like where we're all at. So just to keep that in the back of our minds while we're going through CIP. Cause like it's so fun to think about all these things and also like we're working out of
A shed.
interesting spaces.
yeah, you need a space.
Yeah.
On the third, where is that park visit? I don't
It's
have it on
the
my
3
calendar.
east side
Oh,
parks.
east, okay.
We talked about maybe starting at sunrise, cause.
Mhm.
Which one are we meeting at, starting at?
Sunrise
Mhm.
was what we had.
Is that one, Lisa?
Yeah.
All the town facility expansions have been bumped from CIP year after year after year after year. Right now,
Okay.
so the part of those negotiations of this or that, it's been not that for many, many years.
Do we need to try that on the 12th to get to the park
the shed.
location, or is that gonna be too much for?
We could as well, I was also gonna say if we want to head over there after this park real quick, cause this one won't take super long.
Cause we're just doing Centennial, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
do that tonight,
Yeah,
if everybody
we want
has
to just run
time,
over there tonight, quick. we can do
even
that.
just a couple of us. Okay,
Especially-
You're going
especially if
going
it's done
home.
Before we
Like
get to
now.
CIP.
Billy,
Go to bed.
I'm feeling mother hennish.
Are you all right?
Okay. Anything else? All right, sorry, I'm gonna try and get us through. All right, Jesse, secretary recap.
Yeah,
Please.
okay, so we talked about budget. We spent a lot of time talking through the dates of the budget and the priorities. We know that the first round is due August 7th. We need to spend time before Billy leaves. Got a lot around that. Where does parks money come from? General tax. I took a lot of notes on that. There's really no action, just information. I think the most important thing is the work session on the 27th. Here, 6 p.m. And I would say, like, if you can take the time to review what is on that page 57, I think you said, that'll give us a good starting point. And then
Oh, we do have an action item for that. Billy or Eric is going to create a working document that we
Oh,
can.
the Excel spreadsheet.
Mhm.
action item. Okay.
Cause you guys don't have enough to do.
Yeah, it'll be super easy.
I mean,
Probably
we
just
can
copy
do
our
that.
old one.
I don't
maybe
actually,
from-
Yeah.
I can open up an Excel.
We'll
document
be
too.
working on similar type.
We'll already have one made. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna copy and delete the information that can't be.
Okay.
Perfect.
pushed out.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, park visit on the 3rd, East Side Park starting at sunrise. We're keeping the August 12th meeting, adding Veterans Garden to the agenda. And possibly parks, recreation, sorry, have wrong. And then for Veterans Garden, Veterans Day will be our official kickoff for that.
One more thing, and I don't know if we wanna just throw it in the notes so we don't forget. When we talk CIP, I wanna come back to the baseball fields by Istone that you guys talked about, the mess of the irrigation system. I wanna make sure that that's something.
Library Park.
Library park.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, whatever park that is over there. Wanna make sure we talk about that for our CIP. Right. Okay, thank you. All right, announcements. Rex.
I mean, the biggest stuff all happened last night, and then you were all there at the 4th of July. I think we're just trying to recover from that still. Basically, we are. Our offer to fill Emma's position has been accepted. So don't want to go too much into it because we are an at-will state, so. You know, whatever, but looking at that person potentially starting at the beginning of August, which would be great, so we'll be back to full that.
Cool.
We're still, I would say the last thing is we are still waiting to finalize the date of finishing the multi-golf course, the last. Well, I
Oh,
wouldn't say
yeah.
I wouldn't say the last portion of it, because then we're gonna wait for people to walk through it and see where we need to put the ADA trails before we do it. We'll see what people path and then path those paths. But we're still working with David to finalize that date.
Sounds like we need it.
And that's what.
Uh-huh.
Ribbon cutting,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah, okay.
Is all the recreation, is everything getting filled? Is there anything that we can do to be more supportive, help get word out? Is sports getting filled?
Numbers are lower this year, but that's also just everything in general. People are feeling like they have less money to spend, so they're cutting some of the like low hanging fruit.
They're going to.
Sorry,
But that's what's happening with sports too, is a lot of them are going to college.
Yeah, so right now numbers are like low for what they normally would be at this time. But sometimes during summer, people are gone. A lot of times we do see a late push as they get back from vacations or they start thinking about summer or fall all of a sudden, like, oh, I haven't done anything because I forgot. Like we've all been,
Yeah.
Low key and laid back. So we do usually get a late, almost after registration closes push. But yeah, we had a post either go out today or tomorrow about it. So share it.
Yeah, let's encourage sharing it whatever you can.
No, we kept running out of
The booklets, the right?
yes, every time you guys would do a delivery to the coffee shop, like they would be gone within like.
Just let us know.
I mean, we just fly through them
That's
over there,
awesome.
so
We have a lot
it
of
tells
them,
me
so
that
sorry.
like, and I can see it compared to the other piles. So I feel like, gosh, people are excited about it and don't know about it. Or I don't know what it is, but.
Yeah.
We also have, is it the mingle this week or next week that's coming up? That's the support downtown business one. So it'd be ideal if we could get some of those out to businesses.
Yeah.
And do we have like other than them just being sat on a table, do we have anything to like stand them up in, like a book display or?
Ooh, we did get one for the trifold, but we
Yeah.
don't have one big enough for the actual. But we also have the
You're going somewhere in town.
postcards that are just a QR for the entire
Yeah.
booklet. So we have
Yep.
both of them. Anytime anybody wants to take some, they're sitting in our office right there. We have plenty of print left.
Can I grab some before I leave?
Yeah, we'll just
Yeah.
walk down and grab them real quick.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks, guys. I
Yep.
know it's been busy and you're in recovery mode, so. You in multiple ways, giving you the eyeball.
Literally.
Yeah.
We're good.
Terrible.
We're good.
Board of Trustee Liaison.
We've talked enough. You guys have all the updates, I think. So
Okay.
if you have any questions or concerns or anything, you're always welcome to come to me.
One of the things I wanted to share, I had a chance to talk with Patrick last night from Barry and Dunn outside. After Eric presented, and he said, I hope you guys know how lucky you are. He said, there's so many times we've gone and presented to board of trustees. And they don't understand how important this is. And he said to have the full backing of your board of trustees and your mayor is
That's awesome.
incredible. He said it was super empowering to
Yeah.
see that be a priority and be so like to see so much support for it. So
Right.
share that with.
Yeah, his preparation for it, he was like,
Even there.
he was so nervous. He's like, what question do I need to ask?
Yeah.
What can I get ready to answer? He's like, I'll be taking notes on whatever they say and give feedback. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel bad he came all that way. Maybe we should have just put him.
Just put him up
Put
on
him
the
through
stand
it
or
anyway.
something.
Yeah.
It made it sound like he'll be working with us pretty frequently moving forward, that's like where he gets more involved.
Yeah, he's currently on the implementation team, because I was newer very done, yeah.
Yeah, he was super awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, cool. All right, any PROST member updates?
Any luck finding someone to fill the last spot?
I have a friend who is halfway through the application. He was like, it's really long. And I was
It
like,
is
"Just
really long.
Finish the application. It's Terrence who you met, so I'm still
Yes.
working on him. I don't know. I know you had someone else you were talking to as well. But maybe one of them will get an
We will
application.
I will just wait.
Yeah, we'll just sit on that.
Hold until it comes through.
Okay, yeah, I just sent him another text and I was like, get it in. Go.
It's an intense application.
Yeah, that's
Took
what
me
he
a couple
said. too.
nights to get through it.
That's fine.
Okay, so, all right.
Okay, sweet.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? Is that all I
think
don't
that's
know
you.
what. is
Yeah,
that
that's
me?
you.
Do I motion for that?
You can just.
I think you're just.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna adjourn our PROST July 15th meeting at 7:37 PM.
All right.
All right,